Hey everybody, welcome back to the Techegy podcast. I'm here with MC, MM, and of course, William Hicks, also known as Bit Milli. We'll be right back.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow, right? Yeah, cool. Yeah. It's an episode of Techegy interviews, and like I said, we're interviewing 8-Bit Milli of 8-Bit Milli Games and Console Moo. What's up, Milli?
Not much. How's it going?
It's been a while since we talked. I think November of last year is the last time that we kind of spoke.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, lots changed since then. I quit drinking caffeine. I quit drinking coffee. I quit drinking any caffeinated soda.
Wow.
I've drank mostly water all the time now, so if I fall asleep, you know what? Actually, I had to run down the store and get me a root beer, which actually has no caffeine, thank God, just for the sugar.
Only bar.
Yeah, I have a caffeine sensitivity, so I can't drink a whole lot of I don't drink coffee or anything. I can drink tea, and soda doesn't bother me that much, but if I drink too many, it does. But that hasn't stopped me from drinking Mike's Harder Lemonade. Not a sponsor.
I used to drink between 1 and 2 pots of coffee a day, every day.
See, I only drank coffee once in my life. Yeah, I only drank coffee once in my life. It was the first time I ever got drunk. And guess what? I never had another coffee as long as I live, and I still remember that day because when I smell coffee, all I can think of is throwing up. So, to this day, I still drink alcohol, but I don't drink coffee.
Don't mix the two, right?
Interesting thing about quitting coffee is I've been taking blood pressure medicine because I've been fighting to keep my blood pressure low. It's between 120 over 90 and 130 over 90. It's always a little high. And since I stopped drinking coffee, no caffeine, my blood pressure is 110 over 75.
Wow, That's good.
Yeah. So I may have to get taken off the medication now when I see the doctor next month. He may say it's getting too low.
Yeah, you're gonna start passing out on us.
Yeah. Well, I do. If I sit on the floor on my knees for about 5 minutes playing with my daughter, then I get up. Oh, I got to hang on because I'm going to pass out.
What's that line? It's no fun getting older.
Oh, hell no.
I was talking to MC last night, and I was like, "Oh, I got to take my pills. It's pill time."
Yeah, but you're 20 years younger than us.
Yeah. Hey,
what's your excuse? I know mine is.
I got stuff that runs in the family. I can't help it.
Oh.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, it's been a while since we've talked to you, Milli. So you've released. You've probably released more than one game since the last time we talked to you, but you released Virix. Finally. If you go back 2 years, you can find interviews with us where I'm just badgering him about Virix. So, tell us about the game, the release, development, how it's going.
Well, Virix was like a labor of love, and I kept putting it off, as you say. And finally, last November, I said, okay, now that I've caught up on everything, I'm going to work on Virix. And I figured, okay, 2 months and I'm done. I was on that. I didn't get it done until mid-April because it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's in the nice box. And I should actually open the box up so you can see what the cartridge looks like. If anybody hasn't seen it, they should go on my store. Hang on, let me find something to open this with and then talk. I'm trying to talk and do something at the same time. Come on. There we go. It's got a shrink wrap around. I'm trying to open up. If you go on my store, consolemoo.com, and look at Virix, you'll see there's a little video that shows what the cartridge does. The cartridge is a special cartridge. It's not our 2/3 height cartridge, our little hockey pucks that I call them because it's so solid. This cartridge is different. It's a full height cartridge, and it's translucent green. And inside the cartridge, it has, up on the top here, it has a line LED. When you plug it in and you start playing it, it got a continuous moving lights on there. It glows bright green. It's really cool. And then it's also 128K cartridge too, instead of a standard 32. So it's got a lot more space in there. Then it comes with 3 manuals or 4 manuals.
Wow.
Virix is a very big game, just for the specs. Well, just for the background, what Virix is. Virix, if you read the story in there, Virix takes place up in Amsterdam, New York, where the ColecoVision headquarters was. It's discovered that a whole bunch of ColecoVisions were left plugged in and they were networked together. And over the decades, they had created a little virtual world in there. So what the person who discovers this, he uploads himself into that world, almost like the Matrix. And inside that world, there's other citizens. There's actually 1,024 different citizens in Virix that you can interact with. And there's also 64 viral agents who are controlling the place. And what they do is they make the citizens sick. They give them viruses. So in the game, what you need to do is you need to explore all 4,129 different locations in the world of Virix, interact with all 1,024 citizens, fight the 64 different agents to get all the viral pieces that you need to cure the viruses that the citizens have. And also there's other things that you have to happen that you do in it. Code control can catch you when you're running around. Code control can catch you, and then you have to figure out how to get out of the code control. You have to figure out certain tone sequences. It uses, I don't know if you're familiar with phone phreaking from the 70s, where they used to use touch tones on the phones to be able to hack into things. Well, it uses phone phreaking, and it gives you hints on how that works, where you can use the phone phreaking to drop down into viral corridors and to also break away from the code control. There's a lot happening in this game. It has a built-in OS 7 DOS that you can drop to the OS 7 DOS monitor and run various programs that are in there. You can interact with merchants and purchase upgrades and expansion ROMs. So it's a very complicated game. It's very interactive, and it is not a game that you're just going to pick up and play for 5 minutes, put down. This game, it has a built-in passcode system. So when you play it for a while, you go into the DOS, and then you get the passcode. You write it down in one of the books. We include a passcode book for you to write it in. Then when you come back, you can put the passcode in and go right back to where you were. It keeps track of your time playing, and it will keep track up to 255 days of play. Wow. So you can keep track of how long you're playing it. Virix is basically, imagine Pokemon in the Matrix. It's like that. It's a never-ending game that you never die in, and you never win, and you never lose. You just explore, and you keep trying to make yourself better, get more powerful. You get more viral code snippets so you can cure people. So it's a very hard game to play and a very easy game at the same time, because you don't have to be fast. Well, when you're fighting an agent, you got to be fast. But in anything else, it's just you're just playing it. It's so if you ever look for a game to play where you just explore, just walk around, this is a good game for it. It has an isometric 3D look to it that you can move around in instead of it just being a flat screen or a top-down view. One person did say that they didn't like the fact that I use colors in there. So it is not a game for colorblind people, or it's a hard game for colorblind. Because if you're colorblind, you won't be able to tell the difference between agents, merchants, and citizens. But that's Virix in a nutshell.
It looks pretty ambitious. Yeah, it looks pretty ambitious.
They make colorblind sunglasses or glasses, so maybe they could try those out. I don't know. Some of your backers originally on this project, the early, maybe I shouldn't call them backers, but the early purchasing people, they ended up in the game, right?
Yes. Anybody who pre-ordered, that was up through April 6th, I think was the cutoff day. Their names are agents. They got their names in there as agents. So if you ever want to know if your name got in there, you just go into when you're in Virix, press the pound key to open up OS 7 DOS, and then I think it is press number 4 for the agent list, and then just scroll through the agents and see if you're in there.
Yeah, you could potentially you're an enemy in the game, right? Like, what's cooler than that?
Yep, you could be in there. You could be immortalized in the game. It's sold pretty well, considering that it's a summer game, and summer games usually don't sell too well. But it has sold pretty well, and it's also a more expensive game. I'm charging $75 for the game. I've had it on sale for $65 a couple times. Like on eBay, I think I dropped it $65, and I think I did a special on the store for $65 for a while. But it's sold pretty well. I have about 80 copies so far sold, which is pretty good considering my normal run of games is 100 copies. And then after that, it's just made on order. So I will make the games 100 first, and then after that's made to order. Virix has been made to order in the sense that soldering this cartridge together is a nightmare. Besides the fact that I have to add the LED lights to it too. You have the EEPROM, you have a GAL chip, you have a 74LS21 chip, I believe it is. Yes, the 21 chip. You have a capacitor, then you have 11 resistors. All of these have to be soldered in this one little dinky PCB. And it takes a while to solder them together. And the unfortunate thing is I can test the EEPROMs because I have a test kit for that. And I can rely on my programmer to tell me that the GAL chip was good. But I can't test them all together until everything's been soldered together. And if one of those things were bad, that's a bad board. But so far, though, I've only had 3 go bad, so I've done pretty well on that.
Wow.
And since I'm a glutton for punishment, the next game is using the same board, but it's going to be 512K ROM, not 128K.
No.
So it's going to be a lot more work. But that is Virix, and I wish it sold faster than it has, but I'm not disappointed in its sales, and I do think it's just a summer thing. I do think once fall kicks in and we start having the different shows in Cleveland and tours in Columbus, it'll pick up in sales again.
So, and you also recently released the ROM for it for sale too.
Yes, right. The ROM is released for sale, and that's the interesting thing too. You'd think, okay, well, it's an expensive game. It's $75. I sell the ROM for it for $19 versus $9 for the other ones. So you'd think, okay, these people, they don't want to pay $75, they'll buy the ROM. I think I've sold 3 ROMs. Basically, all club members have downloaded it, which I'm okay with. That's part of their package. But it's not as if people are like, oh, $75 is too much. I'll buy the game itself on ROM. It's just the time. Just not selling right now.
Right. I mean, I can say like I pre-ordered it. I think I did. Right. Yeah.
Right? Yes, you did.
Because it's something that I couldn't bitch at you for 2 years about it and then not pre-order it. Like, no, I'm not playing it. Took too long.
Yeah.
I did. I was like, guys, I gotta pre-order it. I bitched at him for 2 years. Like I'm obligated at this point.
And there's some interesting things in there too. If you go in the game, I mean, I haven't given away much of the hints about it in the game, but if you go in the game and you start interacting with the citizens, if you look at their up in the top right hand corner where they got the silhouette, there is 8 different female silhouettes and 8 different male silhouettes in there. So not everybody looks alike. And then the names, if you look at the names, it's their name and a number. That's their name and their age. And then the viruses are interesting too, because all the viruses are named after games and consoles from the late 70s, early 80s.
I did notice that, yeah. Yeah.
And then they're talking in a language you can't understand until you finally get enough. You get enough capacitors, which you find by walking around in the grass. Tony from Electric Adventures did a video of it a week or so ago, and he's walking around and he's like avoiding. He said, "Oh, I got to avoid the spikes," and I'm sending him messages in Facebook. I'm saying, "No, it's grass. Walking it, you'll find the capacitors because there's things hidden in the grass. Walk around." And he finally figured that out after a while when he read the manual. But yeah, if you get enough capacitors, you can buy a translator disc or a translator ROM. And that will let you see what the citizens are saying too.
I saw you say that to Tony because that was the one thing I hadn't seen yet. Is a lot of reviews of Virix because that's
not at all
what I look for. And his actually, I think, was the first one.
I think his is the first and only one of them.
Yeah.
I owe you one then.
And then there's other things too. If you have the sound synthesizer, which not many people have, unfortunately, but if you have the sound synthesizer, the agents talk to you.
Interesting.
So it is a nice
Lundy's stuff was phenomenal. I mean, you can't. His hardware is second to none. I mean, it's you're getting quality stuff, and for what you're paying for it, you know, it's for the quality that he puts in those things, it's worth it. So we'll definitely put a plug in here for him because again, I don't have the sound thing because I mainly use a Phoenix when I'm playing during the day because it's just easier. Maybe I shouldn't say that, between meetings. But yeah. So I have to ask on kind of going with that. I saw that you're letting Cote games over in France release a few of your games.
Yes. What I've done is I don't do many sales overseas. I think I have like 2 or 3 customers over in Europe, mainly in Germany, that buy from me. When they buy from me, they'll buy 5, 6 games at a time.
Sure.
They'll buy them all in bulk, and I'll get an order for $350, $400 from them, and I send them to them. Then I don't hear from them again for 6 months. So what I do with Cart Games is I've given them the exclusive in Europe. They're taking my game, they're going to repackage it with their own design, their own graphics. They're remaking the manuals. They're using the content that I give them, but they remake them, and then they're selling them to their members over there. And I told him he can sell them in Europe exclusively because it's not a competition with me. Now, like I said, I do sell to a couple of people in Europe, and those ones I do sell, they are Retro Gamers members, so I allow that. But normally I try not to sell to anybody in Europe if they can buy it from him, from Cart Games. But Cart Games has been they've been ordering like 20 at a shot, so I don't know if they have them available to tell people to go there for them. Yeah, he's mainly buying for his membership.
I think he's releasing in September. He said. I think on his website it says September.
Yeah, I know he had an issue over there with some people working with him and stuff, so he got behind on things. But yeah, it works.
He's a good guy. Patrice is a really good guy.
Right? Yeah, he is. It's nice to have them released over there in a different way too. I wanted to work out something with the people down in Brazil too, the one that I was doing the Odyssey games with, and I have yet to figure anything out with this guy. I try, and it's just so hard to work with him. I mean, I wanted to do the same thing. I mean,
sure.
I asked Tony down in Australia on Electronic Arts or Electronic Adventures. I asked him, I said, what's the ColecoVision down there? Is the market big enough for this? And he said it really isn't big enough to sell them down there. Because I was gonna tell him, I mean, because you're set up, because you just did the ColecoVision EA70 arcade classics, which I bought a bunch. I bought 40 total and sold them up here myself. But he just did them, and he's equipped to just do them. And I was kind of curious. I mean, because if the market was big enough, I was going, you want to sell these games down here? You give me like 15%, 20% of the sale, and then you make whatever else you make off of it. And I won't even send you anything. You just make everything there. And he just says the market's not big enough for it, unfortunately, because that would have been nice too.
Yeah, there's a lot of boards coming out of there, I noticed, like for systems, like for the Pi Coleco and some of the Commodore stuff I noticed that are coming out of there. A lot of stuff for the Virix. A lot of hardware for the Virix comes out of there, I've noticed.
Right. Then a lot of the old Sega ones, the FG1000 and stuff, those too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that there's not a market for going back there. It seems like it's the hardware guys that are coming from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'll ask another question, and I'm sure the guys are. Where did Console Moo come from? I see Mike up on top one.
This is it. Okay. Well, first off, the reason why we have Console Moo is my store was under 8-Bit Milli Games, and 8-Bit Milli Games is how I sell games that we make in-house here. And I started selling other games for the Atari and other things under the 8-Bit Milli Games store. But we didn't write those games. These are other people's games, so we're either publishing or reselling. So what I decided, I need to have a store that's separate from the brand. That way I can sell not only my stuff, but other people's stuff there too, and it's not 8-Bit Milli Games. So I was trying to figure out, me and my wife were talking about it, saying, I need a name for it's retro consoles. So I need something like that. And my daughter's running around the house. She's 4 years old. At the time she just turned 4. She running around the house with her pig. Not a pig or cow she loves so much. And my wife said, call it Console Moo. Autumn likes cows. I said, okay. And I thought it sounded, Console Moo, if you think about it, and not to be racist or whatever you want to, it sounds Asian. Console Moo. Almost like a Chinese food. Right. And it's like, you have no idea what it's about other than it's Console Moo. And so
it doesn't have to make sense, right? It just
right. And then after that, I needed a logo for it, so I started looking around and I found a cow design that I was able to purchase, and it looked a lot like it go on the side of a milk carton. Yeah. So I put a joystick on it and I put a bow on it to make it female because of my daughter, and that's where it's at. I'm ordering T-shirts tomorrow too, so I have them to wear at the next convention.
Oh, nice.
Which is in Cleveland, right? It's the Cleveland Gaming Classic.
Right, on the weekend of September 20th.
About a month from now, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going back. I will be at it. I didn't go last year, and I didn't have a happy experience the year before. And I talked to them this year, and they moved everything from the basement upstairs. So there's none of that experience anymore. And I'm going to be in the indie developer section. I get a 10-foot by 10-foot section. So I figured, okay. And we're going to do something different this year at Cleveland and also at Torgs and maybe going forward at the rest of them. At all the other shows we've done, we concentrated on showing the games we had and selling the games. And we're going to try something at these two. Instead of, we're going to sell the games too, but we're going to try to promote the brand. Not sell the games, promote the brand. I mean, an idea I have for it is I want to set up a displays of all the games we've done. Artwork of them, maybe screenshot pictures of what the different parts of it is. And I even told my wife I'd be kind of fun to print out the source code for every game and put them in binders. Just so you can look at it. This is Crazy Climber Redux, and here's the 150 pages of source code to go with it, or whatever it works out to. So you can just look at it. I thought it might be fun just to, instead of like having a table showing these are the games, I still sell the games, I still have the table, but actually let people look at them, because people usually end up asking me, hold on, what about this? What's this about? How did I make this and stuff? So almost like set up a little museum display. Oh, and while we're there, Torgs in Columbus in November, I will be doing a half-hour panel on retro homebrewing for dummies. And I'm working on it may not be book size, but it will be book-ish. That'll be part of it.
Nice.
Awesome.
So if you're going to go to that one in Columbus, come watch me be nervous and not know what I'm doing.
or fall asleep during it.
It's only 30 minutes, so I should be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's going on with no caffeine?
No caffeine, yeah.
No caffeine. Hopefully it's not like late Sunday afternoon, because by that time it's like time to go home.
Nap
Yeah.
time. We get our age, nap time.
Oh, yeah.
Especially on Sunday.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just say, what you got, MC? You got to have some questions.
Well, I do. Millie, remember the game you showed me that had music in it? Is that a thing of the past, or
no? And interesting is that Guitar Hero, Groupie Hero, the game playing music. That's not a thing of the past. That's still on the burner. The issue I have with that is music, and the other issue I have with that is getting the music into the game. And I was actually right before I got here. That's why I said I need to post a question on Facebook about how to do sound. I think I may have finally figured out how to convert actual music samples to something that the ColecoVision can play. So I've gone through a process of taking the music and converting it over to a good sample rate and converting it to an unsigned, it's a raw file, unsigned raw file, whatever it's called. And then I ran some scripts against it, and I finally got a nice text file of frequencies. And tomorrow I'll plug that into the game and see if it actually sounds like the original music it came from. And if that's the case, then it's easier to digitize the music and put it in it.
Yeah. Now, what you showed me really looked interesting, is why I kind of wanted to come out. I
didn't want to just take music that's sitting out there and put it in there. I want to make it fun. So I want to actually have real music in there, and preferably music that's good and exciting, and yet doesn't get you in trouble for using somebody else's music.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I understand there's space issues maybe and everything else, so you may want something that's repetitive, So
well, that's it. That's the other nice thing. And like I said, with the next game that we're working on right now, we're taking it up to a 512K ROM. So I got a half a megabyte of space in there now.
Yeah.
So it's. The Virix cartridge has 128K ROM in it, and it's going to use the exact same. Everything's exactly the same except the ROM chip is a 512K. The PCB board's the same, all the resistors and the GAL, everything is the same. So I've got they should be here tomorrow or Tuesday. I sent away for 10 of them, 10 sample chips, just to test to see how they work out. And if they work out fine on my board, then that's where we're going to go with it. Originally, what I was going to do with the game I'm working on is, and I showed a preview of it in Facebook, is I was going to require it to have a super game module or use an Atom or use a RAM board for the extra memory, and I was going to compress all the different worlds and levels, then decompress them in RAM. And I started thinking about that, and I said, well, instead of going through the process of compressing and decompressing, why don't I just use a bigger ROM? And then I don't have to do that decompression. I have tons of space, so yeah. I got a lot of room now to play with. So that's the game I'm working on now.
It's a lot cheaper than those original guys that would have to have paid for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. The ROM chips. I mean, people like to put down AliExpress, but I usually have really good results with them.
Same here, actually.
I get a failure rate of maybe 2%, maybe 3%, depending on what I'm ordering. I'm getting more of a failure rate on the gal chips than anything else. And it's weird thing is I'll get a gal chip in, and those are the ones that I program so that they can handle the memory, the bank swapping and stuff. And I'll program for the ColecoVision, for the Virix, for the Megacart, and it will fail the programming. And I'll set it to the side because when I go to do an Atari game, I use those too. And I'll program it for a 4K, or I'll program it for a 4K bank swapping in Atari. If it don't work there, I'll set it aside, and I'll program it for the next one, the 16K bank swapping. If it don't work there, I throw it away. So, but sometimes it won't work on one because you get one bit that's bad, but it will work on another one. So the failure rate is going down on those chips, and I have other chips I've really done very well on. The EEPROMs I hardly have any failures on. So that's the game that's in progress right now. Technically, or theoretically, or work in progress. It's codename Alley Cat. It probably won't stay Alley Cat. I toyed with the idea of calling it El Gato, but I'm worried that a drug cartel might get mad at me, so maybe not. But that's the game I'm working on right now.
So you got any leaks for us of anything else?
Yeah, what
else you got in the works there? This year has been very busy. Guzzler in the back behind me there. That's been selling since March.
That was a question of mine about Guzzler because I hadn't seen a whole lot of the video.
Been selling very well. But it's weird with Guzzler. I haven't been able to replicate this, but I've had 2 people use Guzzler. They downloaded, or they put the cartridge in the Phoenix, and you can't pick up water in it. 2 people. Nobody else has had that problem anywhere. And if you take the digital ROM and you load it into Phoenix, you can pick up water.
Interesting. If you ever need it, I have both runs of the Phoenix. I have one of one and one of the second.
That's what I didn't think about that. They had different runs and they may have different upgrades to them too. But I've had an issue with that. So we had Guzzler that came out in March.
R-Type has an issue on the Phoenix.
I heard that. Yeah. And then we had Virix came out in April, and then in May we had Dungeon Plunder come out for the Aquarius.
Yes.
That's a nice RPG game. It was written by Chris. I don't want to mess up his last name, so it's Chris B. He wrote that, and then he made a version of it also for the ColecoVision. This one has been very popular too. It's an RPG game, top-down RPG, going through mazes or going through a dungeon, finding the walls, fighting the monsters. So those 2 games have come out, and they're both budget-packed games. Though I've had a number of people asking for a big box, so we're looking at this fall setting up big box options for other games where you can just order the box if you already have the game.
Interesting.
Or just buy the game in box. Because some people want the big box put on the shelves.
Yep.
Then we had Mancala, which is a very fun game, but it's not selling very well. And I'm just blaming it on summer. This is done by Klaus. And if it looks like a pack of camels, it's because I did that on purpose. Because the title screen in the game has a camel and a pyramid, and I was looking at it and I said, that looks like cigarettes. So I did actually design this to look like a pack of cigarettes.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Oh, not a sponsor, right. Yeah. And then the last game I've released was Kicksar.
That's the other one I was very curious about.
Kicksar is a very fast and fun game to play. And now I'm working on a new game. And that should be, I'm hoping that will be done by November.
What kind of genre?
What's that?
What genre are you looking at this time?
This game, I'm getting a lot of ideas from Mario.
We're going back to that old one you showed us 2 years ago.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's ideas. It's a 2D side-scrolling horizontal platformer with multiple worlds and multiple levels, and just roughly basing the numbers, it probably will have about 30 levels with 3 or 4 worlds in each level. So it's going to be very big because it's going to be on the 512K ROM. Okay. Depends on how much space sound takes up, because I really want to push the sound on it, and I'm not going to use the Super Game module for the sound. I just want to use the built-in sound, and that's it. So that game, it's coming along. It's playable right now. I already have a couple levels made, and I'm playing it and fine-tuning things. I mean, there's like little things, like if you jump off a crane and you land in the water, sometimes you 99.9% of the time you hit the water and you die, but the 1% of the time you fall through and come back down from the sky and hit it and die. So it's like things like that. You chase down the bug. When you go down in a trash can to collect all the fish skeletons, sometimes when you're running into the fish skeletons, if you don't, for the reason I'm not able to figure out yet, when you run into them, it doesn't actually register you touch the skeleton. You have to hit it with your head. So yeah, there's just little bugs in there we're chasing down. But it's mostly now, the game's mostly at the design stage. But yeah, that's either Alley Cat, El Gato, or Felix the Cat, or something. I might even name it after my cat, Dusty. We'll see.
Yeah. Instead of Dustbin, you call it Dusty Bin. I require payment for that idea, by the way.
Mention him in a game, he'll be happy.
So looking.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead. So sorry, Millie.
And a couple other things we're working on too, hardware-wise. I have one thing, and also non-Coleco version. I mean, I don't know if anybody's noticed. I've been posting things on YouTube. I had a friend of mine gave me an Atari 800 and a 1050 drive and about 400 floppy disks, and I've doing a lot of work cleaning up, restoring them. I got the 800, the Atari 800 finished. I got the 1050 restored and running. On Facebook Marketplace, I was able to find 3 drives: an 810 drive with a Happy Mod, an Indus GT drive, which was very expensive at the time, and another 1050 that looked like it was in a smoke. It was like looked like it was in like a smoker's den. It's just a mess. But I've restored all of them, and now I'm restoring the 410 program recorder. But I'm also having fun taking all those discs and making images of them so I can just post them online. I mean, even though most of them will probably exist somewhere, there's going to be some of them that's going to have a few things on them that nobody else has seen. So that's one thing I'm doing also. And the other thing I want to do, I mentioned this. Well, I mentioned this in a video I did with Retro Bliss a few months ago, and I thought I'd get to it, and I haven't gotten to it. I have all the hardware sitting here. There's this hardware project I want to build, and I just can't seem to take the time to figure out how to learn how to do it, so to speak. What I want to do, and this is if this hardware project works, and it would work, and if somebody else wants to build it, I'm totally happy with it too. It would tick off a lot of people and make a lot of people happy at the same time. What this hardware project is you take a Raspberry Pi and you connect the Raspberry Pi to the expansion port of the ColecoVision or the Atom. And what the Raspberry Pi does, it runs some software. And the first thing the Raspberry Pi does is it sits there and monitors the output line of the expansion ROM. When the output line goes high, it looks at the address. And if the address is the VRAM address, which is the VDP address, then whatever's on the data line is instructions to the VDP. So what you do on the Raspberry Pi is you monitor that and you listen to that and you emulate a VDP on the Raspberry Pi and output everything via HDMI to your monitor. So what this thing does, you plug it into your ColecoVision, you have instant HDMI output without touching the ColecoVision. You'd have to make no changes.
Which would be pretty inexpensive too, because Raspberry Pis are not that expensive.
And then you can take it from there too. You're already monitoring the output line. Well, why don't you look at the register or the output port for the sound chip, and you emulate the sound chip for the ColecoVision on the Raspberry Pi. Now you send out sound up the HDMI. So now you don't have to ever plug a TV or anything into the ColecoVision. It's all going out the Raspberry Pi through HDMI.
Which it also would be able, in theory, should be able to emulate the Super Game module.
That's where I was going next. You could emulate the Super Game module with that because, again, it's all talking to output ports. So you emulate the Super Game module. And then you can take it even further than that, is you can monitor that expansion port, and you can tell when it's trying to talk to a cartridge, and you can feed it the cartridge data back. And now you can have every game on the Raspberry Pi into there. No cartridge in the ColecoVision, no nothing. ColecoVision is just doing everything, and the Raspberry Pi is just reading and feeding. That's all it's doing.
So controllers and all that.
The controller, no, even there. The controllers are an output port too. So the Pi can monitor the output port, and you could have a USB controller plugged into the Pi, and it can feed it into the ColecoVision as if you were holding a ColecoVision controller.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, this is what I wanted to make, because basically when you plug it in, you've basically eliminated all the hardware that anybody would ever have to build for the ColecoVision, and now it's all in software. And for the Coleco Atom too, it will work the same way with the Atom. You plug it into the Atom. It can be the expanded memory for the Atom. It can be disk drives for the, well, it can't be disk drives because it's not on the Atom net, but it can be anything else that goes off the expansion port.
Interesting.
But that's something I want to build. I bought all the hardware for it, and it's just sitting there, and in my head, I know what I want to do. I just don't have time to learn. So if anybody out there listening is good at coding the Raspberry Pi and wants to do that, let me know.
It's not me.
Yeah, it's definitely not me. I have a hard time just soldering. Yeah. It just takes practice, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it did me too. When I first started, I was making blobs and messes and stuff now.
Oh, yeah. I just did one of these today. So,
Surface mount?
What is it?
Yeah, it's a Coleco board with a Raspberry Pi clone.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Oh, you're making that. You're making that. That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday I might make that.
Yeah. It was, I forget how many solder joints there were. So my skill got a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
The key word there, I think, to emphasize is a little bit. So yeah, it's it's definitely not something you want to do when you've been drinking, which I wasn't. No.
I did a video on Friday or Thursday. I think it was Thursday. Anyways, I'm like bent over what I'm working on, and I'm cleaning the solder out of it. I was working on a ColecoVision. I was replacing the controller chips, and I did a video that's coming out tomorrow. But I was down there, and what I was doing is I'm heating up the thing, and when I heat up after I remove the chip, I heat up the hole, and then I pull out the leg, and then I take a straight pin back through the hole. I go through this little process of cleaning out instead of spending $100 on a solder sucker. I do it the hard way because it's more fun. But anyways, I'm down to doing that, and the soldering iron moved in my hand, and I go, ow! I got solder splashed up on top of my bald head. That burnt. That's the first time that one's happened. I'm like, I mean, I've had it drip down on my toes when I'm wearing flip-flops, but not on top of my head.
Yeah, that stuff can splash. I mean, it's crazy how that. Yeah, it is crazy how that stuff can splash around. I use I don't have the thing in it, but when I'm removing it, I use the cheap sucker thing. You hit the button and I heat up the hole from one side, and I push the button on the bottom. Mm-hmm. Assuming everything's lined up, it works pretty well. But trying to do that with two hands,
but they wear out pretty quick.
Oh yeah,
the two handhelds and one that heats up and pumps out, and they worked until they I guess they melt or whatever in the end.
I saw the big one today at went into Micro Center, and it was like $300 and some. Like, yeah, no. Yeah,
if I was disassembling a lot of stuff, I would get that, but I don't.
100%.
And my method of using little clippers to clip off the bad chip, and then heating up and pulling out the legs, and then making a straight pin through the hole, and that works just great. And I'm actually probably stressing it less doing that. I'm not pulling on the traces.
Yeah, those traces on those old machines, especially the ColecoVision.
Oh yeah, I don't know what they did on them, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Ataris seem to be pretty could take a lot of beating, but
right.
A ColecoVision, I mean, even an Intellivision can take a little bit. It just seems those ColecoVisions, somebody said that they truly made them and kept tried to keep costs down. And so I think that's part of what we see there. Obviously, it's a power switch.
Yeah, it wasn't a ColecoVision 2. It was a Coleco Atom. It's just as bad. Their traces on the atoms are paper thin.
Wow.
And if you pull on something and it's even attached, the trace just comes up with a nice long string. I fixed a couple atoms where if you flip them over, it's got like 20 wires that I've had to rebuild the traces that just fell apart when I was taking them off. Wow. They work when you're done, but they don't look too good.
No, I had Ruggers do one for me, and it was so bad he took pictures and put it on his Facebook. So yeah,
they don't come out looking very good.
No, it was, but man, I mean, I can't even imagine how much time that takes for you guys that do the repairs.
Yeah, I got another one in there. I think it was actually modified by Ruggers. But for some reason or other, the video keeps blacking out after like 5 minutes. So I got to see if I can figure out what it is. It was a club member, one of the Retro Gamers Club member. He brought his stuff up to the office here 2 weeks ago. Just dropped them off out of Pittsburgh, saved himself some shipping.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we still got members taking advantage of that, which is good. That's what I want them to do. I mean, that's what it's for. And as long as I don't get too much in it, I don't mind, because I just use it as, I call it cannon fodder for my videos. I mean, this way I don't have to buy broken stuff and fix them. People bring me the broken stuff and fix it.
And you like to tinker anyways.
Yeah. If I have time, I like to, yeah. For a long time earlier this year, I didn't have time because I was coding in Virix. We just moved into a new office, which I was trying to get set up. I set up the new store. I was trying to get my car fixed and all kinds of stuff. And now I got time again.
Awesome.
Yeah. And why don't you tell everybody about the club a little bit for anybody who doesn't know?
Yeah, it's the Retro Gamers Club. You can go to retrogamersclub.us and it will forward you over to the store, to consolemove.com. What the Retro Gamers Club is it's $50 a year. And that $50 a year gets you a number of things. First off, it gets free downloads of all of our digital ROMs. It gets you a 10% discount on anything you purchase in the store. And it also gets you, if you have hardware that we can fix, I should say supported hardware. Say, for instance, I like to stick to ColecoVisions because I know them really well. You have a ColecoVision and for one reason or another, the screen is garbled, the controller doesn't work, or you have controllers that are bad. What you can do is you can ship them to us. You pay for the shipping to us. We'll fix them free of charge, and you pay for the shipping and get it back. If I have to replace any parts, it's up to me if I'm going to charge you for it. Like I just worked on the one ColecoVision where I had to replace the two 541 chips in there. I'm not going to charge them for that because I bought 20 of them like 3 years ago, and I think I paid $15 for it, so I'm not going to charge them 75 cents for a chip. So if you join the Retro Gamers Club, what you do is when you join the Retro Gamers Club, you will get an email from us, and in that email, it will include 2 discount codes. One discount code is your 10% off. You use that in the store. Anything you buy, you put it into your cart, you use that code, you get 10% off. The other one is your ROM code. If you decide you want some ROMs, you put them in your cart. Just put ROMs in it because anything else won't get a discount. Put ROMs in it and use your ROM code, and it's 100% off. You pay nothing for it. And they're good for 1 year. So membership is good for 1 year for $50. And at the end of that time, when your membership expires, you want to renew, you can renew.
It's a good deal, right? I mean, good deal.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to next year, Millie, I'm going to ask you, this is a little bit off. We're still, we're not even into fall yet, really. But what do you got planned? What are you looking at next year?
Well, what we're looking at hopefully this year is we want to produce our first Intellivision game. Just about set up to do that now. I have one of my coders is working on one. I want to work on a game myself for Intellivision. I want to also start because the Atari 8-bits was my first real computer. Well, my first real computer was the Timex Clear 1000, but I don't think there's much of a market out there for that. But my next computer was my next computer after that was the TRS-80 Pocket Computer 4, and I'm definitely sure there's no market for that. Then the one after that was the Atari 600 XL, so then I went to the Ataris, and I stayed there for 8-9 years. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to start producing games for the Ataris again that would run on the 800 and anything else other than that. 48K of memory. I'm not sure if I want to do cartridges. I'd like to do cartridges because cartridges are fun, but I might just do disc also. So that's something I want to get into next year. There's a couple other things I want to do too. Outside of 8-Bit Milli games, we also have, and Mike knows about this, we have the Well, actually, both mics know about this. We had the All Things ColecoVision, which was a newsletter, which is now next month's edition. We've taken the summer off. The next month's edition is going to be in magazine format. It probably won't come out till like the middle of September because we're still putting things together. And I want to try to push that more. I want to try to get that to where we have a lot more involvement in it. I also have to set it up online so I can actually monitor how many people are downloading it instead of looking at my stats. I want to keep track exactly how many people are. It looks like we're getting about between 1,000 and 2,000 unique downloads for each newsletter. So there are people looking at it out there. They're at least downloading it. So that's something that I want to get going. That's a side thing. You don't make any money off of that, but it's something I want to do anyways. I'm working on the book or the pamphlet or whatever it is. I don't know what you have in between a pamphlet and a book, but the retro home brewing for dummies.
A booklet. Right.
Booklet. Thank you. I've already got the outline laid out, and I'm going to start filling it in. And depending on how big it gets, I might actually publish it as a book. But that should be available in Torgs in November, I'm hoping. I'm going to set aside October to sit in front of behind my podium and try to come up with the presentation so it don't sound like I'm reading.
Presentations are hard. They really are.
Yeah.
They do sell alcohol at those places, so I could have a beer. Well, not a beer. I just want to. I'd rather have a shot of vodka, and that would loosen me up. I mean, that's what I used to do. When I was doing the online karaoke, give me a shot of vodka, and I'm good. I'm ready.
Yeah, the problem is you got to kind of balance it too, because if you have too much alcohol, you ramble. If you don't have enough, you don't have enough, you go the other direction.
You got to find that sweet spot. You're going to be in trouble.
What's the part I don't ramble, and what's the part that I still coherent but can stay on track.
Also might make you tired, and now you're not doing caffeine. So,
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm wondering, am I going to be doing like a PowerPoint presentation, or if I'm just going to talk? And I'm going to figure this one out. I mean, what I'll do is I've done this before. Is I'll go on YouTube and I'll just start finding other people who have done things, and I'll just look at them, and that's a nice idea. That's an idea. Stay away from that. Just gives me a feel for it. I normally don't get nervous in front of people, so I should be okay. I mean, I do get nervous. I take that back. I do get nervous in front of people. I normally don't like lock up nervous. What I've noticed is when I do get nervous, I talk faster. So I have to slow myself down. I mean, I start talking too fast, and then my New York accent kicks in, mixed in with my California accent from growing up out there too. And people don't understand me when I get going. When I was in the Army, I went there, and I don't know why, but I went there. It was in Fort Dix, New Jersey, and it seemed like about 3/4 of the people that were in my platoon in basic came from the South, and they could not understand me. I was assigned to platoon leader in basic, and they couldn't understand a word I'm saying. And I had to force myself to talk really slow. I don't know why, but I guess when I get nervous, I really talk fast. So
translated subtitles, right? That's where we need.
Yeah,
type them up before and put them up on the PowerPoint slide.
Yeah, I'll get a teleprompter, and I can just read from the teleprompter.
Not a bad idea. You can get them pretty cheap now.
You can make your own. I made my own at one time. Yeah, I made a couple of them actually. I mean, basically, it works, but when you're done making it, it's like, okay, I'm not going to use this anymore. Take it apart.
I use this one time and then never use it again.
Yeah. I built this nice fancy thing to hold it on a tripod with my laptop as the screen and everything, and all the software. And I had the mouse on like a 20-foot long cable so I can scroll it and stuff like that. And I did it one time. I said, yeah, okay. Next time I didn't even do it. I just freewheeled it. I don't need that no more.
Awesome. Well, Millie, it's as always, it's been great talking to you, catching up and everything. We hope to do it again soon. I want to give you a couple minutes here to plug all of your stuff, your websites, Facebooks, Instagrams, whatever you got here. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, our main site is consolemoo.com. That's our store. If you went to 8bitmilligames.com, it just forwards you over there now. So consolemove.com, that's our store. The thing we have going on our store right now is you order $60 or more in items, you get free shipping in the United States and Canada. So that works out pretty well. We have a timeline on there. If you're curious about it, and I took some time a few weeks ago to write it up, a timeline of all the games we've written, and I didn't realize how many games I've done in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So we have that on there. On there, there's also links to the Retro Gamers Club. There's also a link to something that nobody's really taken advantage of it yet. The 8-Bit Milli Game Club for high scores. It's 8bmg.cc, and there's a link on 8-Bit Console Move Forward also. And if you go to 8bmg.cc, MG, it's the initials.
M. Sorry. That makes sense.
If you go to 8bmg.cc, you'll see all the games that we have produced and that we sell there, and you can submit your high score. Either some of the games have a URL. When you finish the game, there's a URL you can go to. If they don't have the URL, you can just take a screenshot and submit it via email. And what we do is we take the high score each month for all the games, and they get a $25 coupon for the store. What? So if you're playing any of our games, it won't hurt you to post it on there, even if you don't win. I mean, then we have a high score listing that goes back for a little over a year now. That as more and more people use this, you'll have a high scoring. You can see where you're doing.
I didn't know this existed.
Yeah, see, a lot of people don't know this. They don't know it at all. If you played New Clock City or Wormhole, at the end of the game, it shows you the URL. It shows you a URL where you can actually type in that URL, and it pre-fills in the game for you. It puts in your high score and everything for the game. But for games that don't have that URL, you just do a screenshot or take a picture, because if it's on your computer, it's on your ColecoVision. Take a picture of it, and there's an email. You email it there with your name and the game, and we'll post it on there. And the high score for each month gets a $25 coupon.
Nice.
And then we have the YouTube channel for 8-Bit Milli. What is it? YouTube.com/C/8-Bit Milli. I've taken some time off for the past 6 months or thereabouts. Haven't done much, but I've been doing a lot recently, and I've got new videos coming out each week for the next 3 weeks, and I've got others in the pipeline to keep posting on there. I got to make a change to my uploading to YouTube. I didn't realize I had it set as Premiere, and somebody complained that his notifications keep me filled up with me saying I'm uploading videos. I mean, well, that's a good thing, but I'll make a change there. But we got that.
God forbid anybody gets a notification, right?
Right. So that's the other thing. And then we have Facebook. We don't use Facebook much. I have multiple pages on Facebook. I just don't use them that much. I'm not much of a social media person. I like to read. I don't like to post much. So if I ever get someone who's good at social media to take over, then Facebook will be used more.
Cool.
And since last year, since we last talked, we moved. We're not in Ohio no more, in North London, Ohio. We moved back over to Pennsylvania. I am back in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. And we got us a nice big ground floor office instead of a second floor. And it's a really nice place now.
Awesome.
It's still lonely too, though, because it's just me working here. Sometimes people come in, but most of the time it's just me. But it's a nice floor.
Is it open to the public? Can anybody just walk in?
Yeah, just let me know you're coming. No, if someone knocked on the door, I'll answer it. Yeah, but it's just me and Candy No Neck. I don't know if you guys know who Candy No Neck is.
Oh, yeah, the mannequin.
My mannequin, I took her head off and put a TV on her. And, well, the show's over now. And, well, to make the TV sit, I had to cut off 3 inches of her neck. So now her head's back on there. It just sits on her shoulder. So she's Candy No Neck. She stands over there against the wall.
I laughed. The only thing I can think about is you say, let me know when you want to comment. Rodney Dangerfield line is, she told me to come over because nobody was home. I went over, nobody was home. She was
No, I mean, but yeah, we've had people come here. I've had people come by games instead of they want to buy the games and they're within like 30, 40 miles. They don't want to pay shipping or drop things off. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Just let me know you're coming. That way I know to expect you.
Absolutely. Well, everybody check out all. Yeah. Everybody check out 8-Bit Milli, check out consolemoo.com. All of the links will be in the description for, in the video here on YouTube, on Rumble, pilled.net, everywhere. Anything we're posting on, you'll have those links. Milli, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much again for coming on. And you can check us out at techegy.me. And as we always say here at Techegy Podcast, stay nerdy, my friends. Awful. Awful.
As
Absolutely
always.
awful. As always.
As always.